Welcome to Roxtalks, the podcast that helps network marketers grow their business on social media. I'm Roxanne Wilson, and this month we've been talking all about live video. Hopefully you've been diving into live streaming, and hopefully you're part of the challenge. If not, join the Facebook group, Social Media for Network Marketers. I messed that up again. That's okay. Social Media for Network Marketers. There's all sorts of fun challenge goodies inside there. Today, I thought it'd be fantastic to bring to you the phenomenal Minessa Konecky. And if you were at the summit last month, you got to meet her. People have been raving about her. But she, we do a lot of live streaming. And I thought it'd be fantastic to talk to someone who's been through that journey and get your questions answered, as well as get some great tidbits on how to make that happen. So let me tell you a little bit about Minessa. Minessa is a writer, a speaker, and creator of the Social Strategy Squad and Renovate Your Facebook group. She spends her time helping female entrepreneurs, hey there, successfully integrate business into their lives without letting it take over entirely. Her mission is to empower women to design and live the life they want right now using an effective blend of mindfulness, neuropsychology, social media know-how, and an F-ton of 80s and 90s pop culture analogies. She lives in Mass with her husband and 3 dogs, where she enjoys morning walks, meditating, and binge watching Star Trek. And I can't wait for you to hear her. Our conversation really goes into, specifically for you network marketers, ways that you can increase your engagement on your Facebook Lives, or I should say live video in general. Some of the pitfalls, and she gives her input as well on what we've been talking about this month, about the fear of going live, about doing less and not more, quality over quantity. And I will admit, because it happens when I'm with Minessa, we do talk about some of the things that are so circa 2017 network marketing that you may still be taught right now that's actually hurting your business, and we get raw on that too. So I highly recommend you sit back, take a listen. You're going to get tons of nuggets that are going to help you build your business and go live in a fantastic way. One of the things I love talking about, and I love talking about things I love, is Be.Live. Be.Live, for me, hands down, has been one of those aha, how did I live without you moments that I had over the last year plus, a little over a year. That's when I started using Be.Live. And what is Be.Live? Be.Live is a live streaming juggernaut. It allows me to literally be able to go live with you on my Facebook as well as YouTube, and record this podcast as well too, and have it looking slick, professional. And as I love to say, it helps you stop the scroll. What I love is that not only do I use Be.Live, my clients use it as well too, and they're seeing the benefits of it. They're being taken seriously. One of the biggest things about network marketing is people don't take your business seriously. When you use a streaming system like Be.Live that allows you to have the overlays, allows you to pop up and engage with people, it really makes a difference. I got to tell you one story that happened this week. One of my viewers said to me, I went live. You were live, Roxanne, and I did not see, I was commenting, but I didn't see you put my comments up. And I was like, what's going on? And it was a reminder to me that Be.Live makes that engagement and cuts that funnel of that customer journey of how long it takes you to get that know, like, and trust factor. Because I pop people's comments up live when I'm live streaming, people feel like they're part of it because they are. And it was such a reminder to me that for whatever reason, it turns out he was commenting the wrong spot, so I never saw it. But it made a difference to him because he was like, where are my comments? He likes to see them on screen. Do never take for granted the ability to have a system that allows you to engage and allows people to feel like they're part of it. That is what gets you closer to and faster to them joining you in business, buying your product. The know, like, and trust factor is off the charts. So if you want to know more about Be.Live, and I could go on forever and a day, I highly recommend you head over to the podcast page, Roxtalks Podcast, or for this episode, or simply go it for a 14-day free trial. Go to bit.ly.com/Be.Live Summit. We'll be right back. Minessa, it's so good to see you. Thank you for being here.
It's so great to see you. I'm so excited to be here. I just, in case you guys don't know, I've been such a Roxanne fangirl for like ages. When she asked me to be on the podcast, I was like, how fast can I say yes?
You did say fast, quickly. Just a reminder, and a thank you again to you that you were part of the Social Media for Network Marketers Summit Part 2 last month, and you were phenomenal, and you just helped so many people with Facebook. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, dude, I can't even tell you guys. So this is really funny. So when I first started listening to Roxanne, I started listening because my audience is network marketers too. So I was like, I'm really interested in seeing what she does. Like, how does she do things? And from the first, and I've said this 1,000 times, so she's probably sick of hearing it now, but the one about your hero product, I heard it and I was like, oh my God, this woman is a genius. And, so I was very, very excited when she invited me to participate on in the summit. And in the summit, there were two speakers that just kind of, I knew when I heard their what they talked about. So it was DeSola and it was Irene. Irene talked about repurposing content, and DeSola was talking about your target audience and really and the value you offer your clients. But she mentioned this book by John Acuff called Finish. And between those two things, like I had this light bulb go off and I completely changed my entire content strategy since the summit. I've been working like really hard on it to where now I'm actually putting together, like it's going to cut my day in like half because all my content is going to come from like one place. And I was like, I realized that Roxanne is technically a network marketing coach, but she's actually my coach. I'm like, you're my coach, Roxanne. So thank you. I can't even tell you life-changing information at that summit. So good.
You are so welcome. And you gave life-changing information as well to others. So thank you for paying for it. And I love that she participated in the summit. Like she's the best summit. Like it was awesome. She participated and she was like all in on it. So this month, it's funny because when people go to a summit, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And I know that, and I learned that from doing the summit last year. So my biggest goal after the summit is really more than anything, figuring out how to help people not get overwhelmed and get really focused on specifically what they're doing. And so I guess so our focus, I saw a question and it got me to see, this is we're beta testing. I'm like, oh, I saw Julie's question, but I'll get back to you in a second. So what's been interesting is one of the things that really cropped up and is really important and really universal for so many people is doing live videos or live streaming. And so we're doing a live video challenge right now for all, come one, come all. You guys know this. You can join it. It's free. Join it. Just join the Social Media for Network Marketers Facebook group. And so, Minessa, I wanted you here because, girl, you do live video as much, if not more than I do.
I'm live all the time.
Yes. And so I thought we could discuss just some of the things we've learned over the years from doing live video and answer any questions anyone has on how to get done. So last week, this is actually coming out on my birthday. So pretend it's my birthday. Hey,
happy birthday!
Thanks. I appreciate that. The 17th is when this drops. But last week, the podcast, we focused on just less is more. Like maybe your biggest issue, your biggest pitfall with your videos, you're trying to do too much. So let's scale it back. The week before was the fear of live streaming and just getting through that. I can't help people get over it. It's a thing, but how to get through it. And so I guess my first of all, my question to you is, did you ever have any issues like fears about going live?
God, I was hoping you'd ask that question. So this is a slightly long answer, but it's so worth it. So I want to tell you, 10 years ago, when I was working at the hospitals, I used to be I worked in finance and research, and I helped people with technology. And one time they asked me to get up and speak on a piece of technology. Basically I do the same thing I did now. I'd never spoken in front of people before. It was a group of people that I knew. Like these are like 100 people that I know. I got up and I remember my knees were shaking. I couldn't function. I couldn't talk. And I was leaning on a podium, and I vividly remember holding onto the podium so hard that it cut into my hands, and my knees were leaning up against the little ledge in the podium because I couldn't stay standing. I had such terror. And even now I'm not even scared going live, and I'm feeling it now. So I'm going to bring myself back from that moment. I lived in terror of that. And then that I worked. But then they told me, you're going to have to train this in front of, 25 people 3 times a week for the next 6 months. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? But I didn't want to lose my job. And I was like, oh my God, This is like bad. And they're like, do Toastmasters, do this, do that. And you know what it ended up being was, so I actually had I had a few crutches that I used. Like I had things that I used for myself. So when I first started doing it, I had a sheaf of papers with all my notes, and I would just look down at my notes as I was doing it. I did that for the first 3 to 6, and my voice was shaking the whole time. And then I realized I really hated having those notes because it just made me feel like there's just so much paper. And then I was like, hold on, let me go through the papers. So I ended up using a I use the clicker that you use to move things. I use that as my crutch. So as long as I had that in my hands, I was good. And then I managed to get it down to a point where as long as I have a pen in my hands, I was good. So this became my crutch. So I slowly took the paper sheaf down to the clicker, down to this. So for years, you would always see me when I spoke on stage or when I spoke in front of people that I would have something in my hands. It would be a mic, it would be a clicker. Even if I had no PowerPoint, I would still have it there because that was this was what I felt helped hold me up. So having a crutch is very, very helpful. Now I don't need this at all. The first live, when I first started going live, I needed a crutch of my own. I'd have Post-its, over here, like with smiley faces, and I'd have a picture of my sister and pretend I was talking to her. I created a bunch of psychological tricks that I'd be like, okay, no one's on my live, so I'm going to pretend that I'm talking to Syra, my sister, and she just went into the grocery store and said, listen, I'm not going to be able to answer you for a few seconds, so you talk and keep me company while I'm in the grocery store. I'll talk when I come out, because we used to do that all the time. So I would just talk and just pretend that I was talking to her. Because I was so scared. But ultimately what it comes down to is I realized that it ultimately comes down to, I think, like you were saying, I imagine in the first session where you're talking about fear-based techniques, it comes down to figuring out what techniques you're going to use to, again, like you said, get yourself through it, because none of us can help you with that. I mean, therapy's good. I have a therapist. Therapy's great. But if not a therapist, then the only way out is through it. There's no way, there's no like, ooh, there's a shortcut. I'll just take this shortcut around the side. Like, this is the shortcut, is going through the fear. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go live every day now, and you brought me on, you're like, hey, we're going to go live with this. I'm like, sure, let's do it. But it was really, I had to walk through the fire.
Yeah. Through the fire. To the limit. Sorry, Chaka Khan just came to me in a moment.
Chaka Khan.
No, but I love that you said that, because I think it's funny now when people notice that someone always has a pen in their hand, they might realize, oh my gosh, that's their stack of papers, that's their pacifier, or their thing that's helping them get through going live. And maybe that'll make you feel better going, oh, so maybe it hasn't been easy for all of them all this time. And I think it's really important that you reminded us too that going live is much like presenting in front of a room of people. It's that same feeling that we get, except you can't see them. And maybe sometimes that's even a little bit more terrifying, but getting through it, walking through that fire and we're here to hold your hand virtually, and get you help and help you through that. One of the things I really recommended to people is having that support group, having the team of cheerleaders around who are either watching you live or cheering you on ahead of time. So I love that you said that. Okay, so last week we talked about doing too much. And question for you, did you ever find when you're doing live videos, you're like, okay, I need to the reason this is not working is because I'm trying to do all the things. Did you ever have that situation?
Yeah, when I canceled on you like 3 times, actually. Yes, Roxanne was actually the casualty of me realizing that. So what happened, I realized, I believe it was December of last year, that I was going live too much. I was trying to do too many things, and that as a result, everything that I was doing was starting to the quality was just going down, and I wasn't happy with it. Forget about like what other people thought. I just was like, this isn't what I want to be producing. And there were things that I really, really wanted to do. Like, I wanted to interview you so bad for my live show that I had. But as I realized that I was just doing too much, and something had to go. And so I really had to go through my entire business and figure out what I wanted to get rid of. And a lot of them ended up being lives, because I realized I was going live too much. And it wasn't like, it's about I don't want to say quality, but it's really about the value that you are trying to offer with any individual live or any individual thing. And I think sometimes there's a myth out there that says if you go live more, Facebook rewards you, but that's not true. If you have an engaged live, then you can go live once a week, once every other week, and it's more than sufficient. If you go live every single day and nobody's watching you, that is terrible. That is way, 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 way worse for you. And it actually comes out.
You use the word terrible. You just say it. You use the T word. That's terrible.
It's terrible. It's awful. It's like, dude, don't do it. Just don't do it. When I hear can I take it one step further? When I hear those go live 90 times in 90 days challenges,
I almost just said that.
God, don't do that, guys. Please never do that.
I was about to say, when they have those 30-day challenges, we're going to go live 30 days, but 90, I mean, it drives me crazy. And that's why with this live challenge, I had to be really specific. We're doing 30-day live video challenge, but we're not going live 30 days. We're going live minimum 4 times and maximum maybe 8. Because it's just, people think that quality is not a thing, it's quantity. And that just by doing the quantity, your quality will suddenly be there. And people are like, I can't wait to see what weird things she's going to say or do today. That is not a thing. People are like, we turn the channel all the time. It makes me
where
crazy.
that comes from? It's actually residual from about 10 years ago. So when Facebook was first around, it was quantity. It didn't matter what you posted. As long as you kept posting, eventually someone would see it. And that was the truth for like 7 years. And then when in 2017, they changed the entire algorithm. And from that day, that is no longer true. But there's still so much bad advice out there and so many people who are still getting advice from the people who are still thinking that that's the case. That's where that comes from. So it's important to sort of keep in mind that, like, it's not that somebody's lying to you when they tell you to do that. They in earnest believe that they're helping. They're just using outdated information. It's like if you told me, listen, I need to get a message to 1,000 people. And I said, okay, there's a mimeograph machine next door. Here's the paper. Go mimeograph it. Get out the mimeographing machine when I was a kid, and then send it out by carrier pigeon. And you're like, wait a minute, there has got to be a faster way of doing that.
Yeah. Well, and this is going down a bunny trail, but I have to, because one of the things that really stood out to people about our summit conversation was when we're talking about like ladders or people from companies liking and commenting on things.
Mm-hmm.
And so ironically, last week I did like a public service announcement, a live, and I just was like, stop, please. And if someone says, you like, please stop. And here are the reasons why you should stop. And apparently I got some backlash, which I'm totally fine with that. But I got a message from someone saying, our team talked about it and we just feel like we need to keep doing it. Because we feel like we're new and that's how it needs to be. And we want to cheer on our new people and we want to be like, and they listed another company as well too. And I just, but then they said, what do you think about that? And I'm like, you want my honest
I told you what I think about that.
So I was like, well, since you asked, and I just wrote back like this, but this is my opinion. I'm like, listen, this is because I think it's damaging to think, and I want your honest opinion on this too, but it's damaging to think we'll do this for a while and then we'll stop doing it. We know it's not good, but we're going to start, but we're new. So we're going to do it for now. And then we'll just switch later. And I'm like, but if you know what is right, anyhow, Minessa, thoughts, go.
I have such thoughts on this too. Well, I have thoughts on a lot of things. So like, it's like, so, okay, I'm going to give you an analogy that's going to completely explain why this is a terrible plan. So I love ice cream. Haagen-Dazs ice cream, so delicious. Oh my God, I could just eat it by the pint. Coffee, so good. For years, and it got to a stage where I was eating a pint a night because, I mean, it's delicious. Sorry, it just is. But it's also really unhealthy. Like, it's also really unhealthy. My diet was really bad, but I kept saying to myself, in your 20s, you can eat whatever the heck you want. Who cares, right? And now I'm in my 40s, can't do that anymore. But I didn't actually know that yet, right? So last year, I'm eating like junk, right? I'm eating all kinds of junk. And at the end of last year, and this is actually why I had to keep canceling on you, was because my digestive system just went completely berserk and I was incapacitated for weeks at a time. It was like so bad. And I was crying. It was such a bad situation. I was seeing doctors. It was horrible, right? And I kept trying to cancel. And that's ultimately why I ended up not doing the many more, is because I just had to take care of my health. But when I finally went and I hired a nutritionist, a functional nutritionist, to sit with me and talk to me about, okay, 'cause ultimately what I discovered was that this last year especially, I had done a lot of damage to my gut bacteria, to my body, to my health, and to my intestines in general. I'm gluten intolerant, I'm lactose intolerant. Like, I had really damaged my body to the point where it's going to take me a couple of years to come back from this. Like, it's not something that I'm just going to be able to bounce back. I feel great now. Like, I feel good because I'm eating all the right things. But like, not even a pint. I had a little bit of ice cream the other day because I hadn't had it in like 3 months. And I'm like, it's okay. I paid the price for like 2 days. It was awful. Now, that is exactly the same as a like ladder. You do that like ladder for a little while and you're like, oh, it's fine. But you're not going to pay the price for that until probably about 6 to 8 months down the line. And by the time you realize it, you'll realize that to dig yourself out of that hole is not going to be something that you can do for a month here, a month there. You have, and it's going to take you a long time. So what I always say, and I'm pretty confident this is sort of like in the general direction that you would also go as well, is that, look, if you want to do this, you are the only person who's going to pay the price, and you are the only person who's going to have to reap the rewards. Usually, in this case, what you're doing is you are actually saying, "Hey, team member, you're going to pay the price for this." Because when you go like someone else's page and you tell your downline to do that, not only are you damaging your own business because you're having other people do it for you, but now you are bringing someone on and saying, "I'd like to set you up to fail. Let's do that." And that is, you have to ask yourself the question: does your gut feeling about, I really feel like we need to do this, which I always find, I feel like I need to do this to be an interesting reason to do something in business, right? Without any evidence. But if you feel like it, do you also feel like you'd like to set up your downline to fail? That sort of, and I know that sounds pretty harsh, but that's actually what you're doing.
Woo, but thank you for that. And that's the truth of the matter. And I read it and I was like, I had to really I'm like, okay. When I see things like that, I'm thinking you were deciding not to be the CEO of your own business. I mean, you can make your own decisions, but if you know that this is leading you down a path of destruction, and the other thing was, it was like something about, well, we see other teams do it and we think they're being successful. And I'm like, how do you know that is why? Do you see the metrics? But go with God.
I love what you just said, though. Oh my God, can I jump in on that? Like what you just said right now about how do you know they're being successful? What you see on the outside, dude, there was one person that I worked with years ago who I thought she was so successful. This was when I was still selling indirect sales, right? So successful. And I copied everything she did because I wanted to be like her. This is, by the way, this is not Crystal Foy, it's someone else. I copied everything Crystal Foy did too, but this is way before Crystal Foy. She was way early on. I was still at the very beginning of my business. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what she's doing. And she came to me like a month, I was talking like way early on. And she said, she came to me a month or so after I started. And she's like, "I need your help." And I'm like, "You need my help? Why do you need my help?" And she's like, "I'm not making any profit." And I'm like, what? Turns out she had a lot of cash flow, money coming in, money going out, money coming in, money going out, but she wasn't actually making any money at all. None. She was actually making less money than people selling less than her. So I thought that was really, really telling. And that is what was my first indicator that there's something very wrong with the way we're all approaching business, in that what you think you're seeing is not what you're seeing. You're just seeing like a two-dimensional representation of an entire 3D business, and you're making decisions. You're making these decisions about what you think is making that person successful. You're just picking out, that's it, and your subconscious is picking those things out for you based off what you want it to be. Yeah. So this is all your brain playing tricks on you.
Totally.
Sorry, you said that and I was like, I have to jump on that.
No, I'm with you. I'm there. Okay. I know we went down a bunny trail, but it just okay. So anyhow, stop the ladders. Please stop the madness. We're trying to help you. Listen, we benefit not at all from you doing it or not doing it, except we want to see you succeed and we want to see direct sales succeed. So please stop. Okay. So there's some questions and I want to pop into them. Gretchen says, how do we boost engagement if just starting a page and going live, but no one is there? That's a really great question. So how do you boost that? You're going live on your Facebook, I call it page, really the business page, and it's crickets.
I think there's a few different ways of doing it. I think first is recognizing that live is part of a balanced business diet. Doesn't exist on its own. So you do need to do like actual outreach with your actual warm market. So, talking to your friends, making sure that you're engaging on other people's content. It doesn't mean that you have to pick up the phone, but it does mean that you have to be a participant in Facebook other than just a creator of content. So you need to be, as your personal profile, you need to make sure that you're engaging with your friends, family, community members. You need to make sure that you are going to people who are engaging on your page when they do and responding back and looking at the things that they're talking about and making sure that you are showing up not just as somebody who's just creating content and throwing it out there, because very quickly people realize that you're not interested in them. You're really just interested in what they can do for you. And that's a turnoff for people. Like nobody wants to feel like they're just there as a tool in your toolkit. So the first thing I always recommend is go look at your personal profile and make sure that you are showing up as like a real life human being. Because if you think about Facebook like a big monopoly board, right? And you think about all of the land, all of the properties as Facebook page with all this individual stuff. Your personal profile is your playing piece. And if you're not working on your personal profile, then you don't even have a piece on the board. So you can't do anything on the board. So work on your personal profile, I would say, is number one. But in terms of an active thing that you can do like right now is, Molly Mahoney does this, and I think it's brilliant. And I want to actually start doing this myself. It's been on my dream list for ages. I just haven't done it yet. Is before you go live, you can go live on your personal profile for 10 minutes, just getting ready, right? Like I'm doing my hair. I'm talking about just random stuff. Hey guys, you're not talking about sales. You're not talking about anything big. And then as you wrap up, you're like, okay, I'm ready for my live now. I'm just going to run to my business page and do that. Thanks for keeping me company while I got ready. So it's not about selling. You are not trying to sell. You're just asking your friends to keep you company while you're getting ready. And then some people will stick around because they're already there. You've got that momentum. You can help now then funnel people over to your business page from your personal profile in a compliant way.
I like that. And I love compliance. We'll get there in a second because I know that you are big on Facebook compliance. And I think that's important. So in the challenge, I've been recommending that people spend like their video should be like 3 minutes, no longer than that, just to keep it tight and right. So I think with that idea with Molly, who's a genius, obviously, is going on maybe for like a minute or two and just like maybe you're doing your people like watching things like you doing your makeup or like, hey, I'm setting up or I'm a hot mess right now trying to get this together. I'm going live in like a minute. We'll see how that actually looks because maybe you got the dog running through, the kids running through, like whatever it might be. And then you head on over. I think that's a fantastic tool that I need to do. I don't do that either. And I should. At least play with it. You know what I was thinking as well too, because Scott always likes to walk in his boxers, like in a moment. I won't make y'all see that. But like another thing I think is important is that you schedule your live. So if you use the feature, and Gretchen just actually she signed up for Be.Live, we go her during the summit. So you can go in and schedule that live on your page. And when you do that, it's amazing. Every time I schedule, more people show up. Funny how that works.
That's a really good one. Is you've got to promote it in advance. That I cannot believe I forgot that one, because a lot of times I see people just going live, or they're like, I'm going live in 10 minutes. You do need to make sure that you're going live in advance, like you're scheduling in advance, emailing out to your community, sending text messages if you have text messages. And actually the last thing that I think that you just remind me of is I'm gonna actually pull it up so I can say the exact words. This came in my email today from Marketing Examples from Harry, which he's amazing if you're not on his list.
Harry is in like Prince Harry?
Oh my God, don't even get me started on Prince Harry. I got that whole story right now these days. I am following that like crazy. No, so it's this basic, I'm on this marketingexamples.com, and he sends out bi-weekly emails like twice a month. And they're just they're brilliant. And one of the things he said is how to get more leads from your web what was it that he called it? He said, what do you call it? Tell them that you are, here we go. No one cares what you do. Don't tell them what you're doing. Tell them how you are helping them, right? So when you send out that email, don't say, hey guys, I'm going live at this time, because no one is sitting there waiting desperately for you to like go, oh my God, thank God she's going live right now. Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. Open. All day, that's all I do. But if you tell them, so like Roxanne's like, you'll learn how to use Be.Live to grow your business. You'll learn how to overcome your fear of live. Now you know what you are going to get out of this. So you really want to make sure you're telling them what they're going to get out of it, not what you're going to get out of it, which is them attending your live.
And I love that consistency, because the script, for lack of a better word, or the blueprint that I give people on how to do a live video, the first thing I do is don't tell us who the heck you are. Nobody cares who you are. Tell them what they're going to hear about, what they're going to get. Then once they know, okay, yeah, I want to know about how to 10x my business by going live, then you can tell me who the heck are you. But you saying, hi, I'm Roxanne. Nobody cares who I am. They don't care. They don't care. And so I love that consistency of, if you have an email system, and I know not everyone does, but if you're at that point where you're doing email, or like you said, like text messaging, or even posting that post when you schedule it, tell us what we're going to get. and you're more likely to get people to show up and engage and be there. I think that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Okay. So, and I love the questions coming in the comments. They're fantastic. And Alan, Alan, it's a long story, but I love it. Okay. So here's my question for you. I'll tell you that later.
I was going to say that comment looks like there's a lot of history in it.
Okay. So I love your suggestions on how to get more engagement. I think that's fantastic. Also, I think, can you talk a little about speaking to the replay?
So in terms of like how I use my replays?
Well, for someone who's just starting and they're doing videos and they're like, okay, they're live streaming, like, okay, because you don't get an audience of one. Like it's not like, here, I'm Minessa Konecky, table of 0. Like there's people there. But when you think back to like people starting, if there's no one there, there's one person there, what do you recommend when it comes to like the replay? How does that play into things?
Oh gosh, yeah. So the replay, so when you first start, it can be so intimidating because you look at all these people with like 500 videos in their feed, when you look at their video section and then yours has like 1, which is, I remember when mine looked like that. I was like, one is the loneliest number. I was so sad. So the first thing to keep in mind is that it's okay if nobody watches your first video. Honestly, I'm so glad no one watched my first video because I was still trying to figure things out. I'm like, where's the button? What am I doing? It's a blessing that no one's at my first few lives. But I think one is that you're not just creating content. Like, yes, you are creating content live. And one of the reasons for it is because Facebook prefers live video. People prefer live video. You can get more engagement, so on and so forth. But when you're just starting out, it has another purpose as well. And well, it always does, is you're also creating social proof and you're creating consistency. So when you look at the replay, and you're also creating freedom in your future, that's where the replay comes in. So first is the consistency, is that when somebody comes to your page like 4 months from now, if they look and they see that you have a consistent history of doing videos, even, you're doing through 4 videos, a month did we say, and you're doing that for a year, eventually it builds up. And they then see you as a legitimate business as opposed to someone else who maybe does the same thing that you do, right? Because if you think about it, you're all selling, you have a team who sells the same kind of things that you do. You have a whole company. So what is separating you from those people? And what separates you is the consistency. When they see that, they're like, I can trust you because you clearly are serious about your business because you've been doing this for a while, as opposed to this person who started doing this in 2017 and only has 1 video and has never really done anything. So you're going to get a lot more social proof and a lot more trust from your audience. The other thing, which is so powerful, is that if the kind of content that you create, you can use over and over and over again. So you can send that same content out if you're using email in an email. You can watch it again later, pull out some nuggets that you liked, make another post in the future, reference this post, because Facebook rewards you for using your content. It still sees it as original content if you use it over and over again. But like, if let's say you only ever share Roxanne's content, it does not see that as original content. So that will, if you overshare other people's content, it damages you, but you can reshare your content as often as you'd like because you're the one that created it. So making sure that people know about it after the fact is very important. Using, again, like we said, the email, post on your page, sharing it in your, like mentioning it again a little bit later on. Don't forget that we did this, because one of the key issues is that we don't see someone on our lives and we're like, I suck. What we don't realize is that this person is living a whole life. They have children, they have parents, they have people who are sick around them, they have, they're COVID fatigue, they have to make dinner, they stub their toe and step on Legos. Like, they have all the same things going on in their lives that you do. So if they see it and then they step on a Lego, they're not going to watch your video. They're going to be sitting there cursing for the next 10 minutes and then they're just going to forget about it. But they still wanted to watch your video. So reminding them by sending out that, by creating repeat watchers or replay watchers using those tools, then gives your live more legs, lasts longer, and then you can start to create more engagement later on, rather than feeling like you constantly have to be creating content, which is what I think a lot of us fall into. We just keep creating content, which is exactly what I learned from the summit that I was doing. I was addicted to creating content. That was giving me my dopamine hit, but that wasn't what I really needed to be doing. And when I took a step back, I realized that, what I need to be doing is repurposing the content I've already made, because it's already really good stuff. Why do I have to reinvent the wheel, right? So don't give yourself extra work just to feel like you're working.
Yeah, that's really brilliant. I think for those of you who are using email, a great thing you can do with your lives, because it's all symbiotic. And I love what you said earlier, Minessa, about how it's part of a balanced diet. Live video is part of a balanced diet. It's not the end all be all. It's not the only thing. It's not the ice cream. Although, man, I'll tell you right now, I'm enjoying peanut butter. I think they're vegan cookies. I don't know. They're amazing. And that's like, I want them all the time. I can't have them all the time. I want them all the time. Sidebar. But balanced diet. I gotta have my greens, gotta have my Brussels sprouts too. So when you think about that, if you're spending time doing a live video and you could take that video and either your email, if like, gosh, I don't have content for my email, can be leading people back to that video. It can be leading people to that video. It can be leading people to a video you did a month ago or 2 months ago. So you've got that content waiting for you. And if you're thinking, I want more engagement on my video, if your email can be letting people know, I'm going to be live on this time and day. Like, you can let them know about your schedule and system. And again, if you don't have email, it's okay. You can be doing this in posts. You can be doing this in text messages. Email is a thing that happens, but whatever you're using right now for your social media, for your marketing. And sometimes I think, Minessa, we should stop calling it social media and start calling it marketing, because people take marketing more seriously than social media. And so,
It's true.
No one says, what are you just doing, playing on your marketing? No, that's real. But like
I think it's also harder to play on social media when you call it marketing, because then you can't really just be on Facebook scrolling and call it working.
Exactly. Very true. Like, you're working with marketing. Like, I'm working on my marketing right now. But if you think about using all those things together, and I know into repurposing, but it is all part of it. And I'm hoping that when you realize, and something I'm getting from this is when you realize how live video fits in all of the things, it makes you more directed on what video you're going to do. It doesn't make you go, I'm just going up and like, I'm going to dance because I feel like I should be dancing today. You're literally going to be using that video to drive your marketing forward in some way. There's a question, and I bet I'm going to answer this and not Minessa, because, well, let's test Minessa. Minessa is a Facebook guru, and she's
I don't know.
Shallow end of Instagram. The question is, can you, Lana Banana asks, can you repurpose IG lives?
All right. And you know the answer, right? So can I guess? All right, yeah, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, you can.
Oh my God, that was such a guess. That was such a guess.
How do we do that, Minessa? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to ask you how. So, okay, with IG Live, you got it though. High five to you.
It was a guess. High five.
There it is. Okay, so with an IG Live, once you do a live, the way, and this has changed. So if some of you are like, wait, I didn't know it was like that. It was different. It has literally changed in the last year. So when you do an IG Live, when it goes live, it looks like it's a story and it lives in like the little story area. However, the second you turn off the live and you're done, it will ask you if you would like to delete it or save it. If you say save, it will take that video and put it in your IGTV collection. If you say delete, it's going to delete it and no one will see it at all, ever, not even for 24 hours. It does not live on stories at all. So what I always do when I do a live, and this is actually a great example of Minessa saying doing too much. About 4 months ago, and it was happening for like a quarter, my Instagram numbers, engagement, all of it was going down. I'm like, what the Hades? What's going on? I'm putting out content. I'm putting out all the things. Why is this happening? And so my social media team and I got a social media audit, an Instagram audit by someone as well too. And we sat down and it was like, okay, Roxanne, you are a content machine and that is awesome, but you need to pull back on your content for Instagram because that's not how it's working right now. Instagram doesn't want to see you all the time. So I was going live doing IGTV. I was going live simulcasting. So I was on Be.Live on Facebook and also doing my IG on my phone, same time, right? So that was 3 times a week. Then I had like 3 or 4 posts and then I was doing Instagram Reels and all these things were just like flooding.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Right. But I didn't think I'm like, oh, I did an IG Live. I can't possibly delete that. That's gotta go somewhere. So now with my IG Lives, I sit there and I go, okay. And I hit save before. So when I end the video, I hit save. So it's on my camera reel. Not that I've ever used any of them, but this is how you'd repurpose it. And then I hit delete and I'm like, it was painful at first. So I'm like, wait, no one's going to see this on IG. Nope, Roxanne, no one is because you're doing too much. When I scaled back the amount, my Instagram engagement, my numbers have been going back up because I was giving people too much content. That's a little sidebar. So back to you, Lana. What you'll do to repurpose it. First of all, you know that if once you save it, it will go to IGTV. You'll treat it like an IGTV. It can show up on your profile as well as the IGTV section. It'll ask if you want it to show up on your grid, and you can say yes. I would also, before you do that, download it. So you're saving it onto your phone. Then you have it, and you can either put it in whatever editing software you use. You can put it in there, and you can snippet it, whatever you like. Be.Live is not on Instagram yet. It's not a Be.Live thing. It's an Instagram thing. Nothing can be on Instagram. That's just kind of how they work. But that's how you would take it and repurpose it. So just make sure you save it, and then you can put it in any software.
I'm glad you said. Now I learned that. So now I'm going to actually start. I learned a lot from you just now. Actually, I'm like wondering why I'm not actually simulcasting to Be.Live to IGTV. I'm like, why am I not doing that? It would take care of my IG content.
No, but the reason you're not is because I do that. Like, it would only be you. So then people are like, who's she talking to? I can't even hear who she's talking to. See my point?
Right, it's like who's she talking? Well, no, I was thinking to myself, like, I'm not even using IGTV content, right? So I'm like, so because so for me, I decided, like, talk about, you know how you're talking about like doing too much? For me, I was doing too much, and I realized I was like, you know what? I need to just focus on what's working for me right now. And so I actually just ditched IGTV. I ditched everything and just focused on Facebook. And now I'm at a stage where I'm kind of like moving Facebook a little bit to the side because it's on autopilot, and I want to move into YouTube. And I was like, IGTV is kind of like on all right, maybe, but it's a great way to get just content up there without me having to do a whole lot of stuff, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on Instagram, but I would like to just get some content out there. So I love this idea that's doing the same amount, but like getting more traction out of it.
Exactly. I mean, I can't reach it, but I put the tripod right next to my camera, and it's on there, and I'm both, and I go back and forth, and I just do it that way. And so that's a great way you could do it, and you're saving your time. You're not doing any extra time at all, but it's right there.
I love that, because I'm doing 0 on Instagram, but it's a really, like, exactly what you said is you have to pull back. Like, you don't have to do as much as you think to be successful, but the things that you need to do are things that we usually are like, oh, do I have to do that? Like, they get to be fun later. Like, once you start seeing results, it becomes fun. But when you're first starting out, it's a lot less fun, because it's like, oh my God, do I have to? Like, can I just do a like ladder instead? No, you can't just do a like ladder instead.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because there was a network marketing company that I almost ended up doing like some official work for. And one of the things, we were talking and going back in negotiations, and they wanted me to create 30 to 90 days of like specific content that people needed to post every single day. And I was like, every day? You don't mean like 3 or 4, like every day? And I was having like personal issues with that, because I know it's not necessary to be on social media, to do your social media marketing every day to be successful. And people feeling that it's just that's not necessary. I think when you tell people that, and with no reason behind it, like just because you think they have to be on all the time, they don't have to. That's not what you have to do. Really quickly, Lana, no, don't worry. We are talking all things live streaming. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean
it's totally fine. It was so fun. I loved guessing that. That was really fun.
Now and we're talking about all live streaming. So it's all good. So don't you worry about a thing. You just don't need to be everywhere all the time. It's just not a thing. But we think we do. And for me to say that is amazing, because I love to be everywhere all the time. Where can I be? But I also know that my speed and my pace is not everybody's speed and pace, and that's okay. That really is okay. Some of my social media, I had to start letting other people handle it, which was really hard for me. But I was like, I'm supposed to be everywhere. I should be in these places. I'm just sitting there watching, like not doing it, just because bandwidth. If you're working with your clients all the time, you can't be everywhere all the time.
I think that's actually I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually one of the biggest challenges I face. Is I ended up having to have someone else, like, I had to be very particular about what I was going to have someone else do for me versus what I was going to do, because I still want to be the interactor. I still want to be the person people talk to, but like, I don't have to be the one making the posts. So I really have been working on that, because you don't have to be everywhere. But at some point, like you said, if you're working with clients, you're working with corporate clients, I can't do my own ads because I just don't have time, right? Like, and I stopped teaching on ads because I was like, you know what, something has to give.
Well, I'd stop teaching on ads too. Well, we're on the Book of Faces. I won't say anything bad, but
we're on the Book of Faces.
I'm not very happy with you and your ads right now, Book of Faces.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing ads. It's like, I'm not very happy with what you're doing with my ads. Off.
Yeah, I hear you. I've been going to, now we're like off the rails completely. But Pinterest. Do you know, PS, and by the way, because of course, when they made all these changes on Facebook ads was right before the summit. And I was like, Lord Jesus in heaven above, now is not the time. February is not the time. So I'm doing these ads and it's like anyone with an Apple phone, which is, as far as I am concerned, no offense, Minessa, everyone except for you and Scott, weren't seeing the ads and all these things. And I'm like, I'm just going to do Pinterest as well too. Would you believe that I was getting a lot more traction on my Pinterest ads? And I had someone join Social Stories and she said, by the way, I found you from a Pinterest. I'm like, you did?
Really?
Of course, I'm like, can you tell me exactly which pin? Of course she couldn't, but I was like,
you know what? Pinterest is like, I don't even know what happens on Pinterest. I go there and I'm like, there's stuff here.
yeah.
It's really pretty. Like Pinterest is so pretty and I like looking at the pretty pictures, but I haven't yet figured out how to do anything with it. I know I love the pretty pictures.
You're so pretty. You're so pretty. You know, it's the, and I went on a, they don't have live video yet. So I guess they're not invited to this conversation. Although LinkedIn does have live video now. PS, and by the way.
Yes, I saw that. I was actually talking to a LinkedIn expert the other day. He connected with me somehow, and we started talking. I was like, you know what? Like, I can really see a lot of value in LinkedIn Live. So I'm actually excited for one day. When Be.Live will simulcast to LinkedIn, and then we can just simulcast to all the places.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Be.Live, let me ask you this, because we're so proud to have Be.Live as they're a sponsor of the summit, and they are giving us awesome support, actually with the podcast right now as well too, and coming into all the things. What is your take on Be.Live? Give us your honest opinion.
I will not go live without it, dude. I will not go live. Not a chance. Like if somebody says you got to go live and I don't have Be.Live, I would just be like, it's fine, I'll go live later. It just makes it so much easier because, it's interesting. I want everybody to know just generally about the kind of person that I am. I'm all about efficiency. I literally have no marriage to any piece of software. One of the earliest pieces of advice my dad gave me is don't get married to software. He's like, software comes, software goes. He's like, make sure it's doing what you want it to do. And I was like 18 or 17. I'm like, whatever, Dad. But now, obviously, it's brilliant. And so one of the things that I do is like, I look for the software that does what I need it to do in a price point that I needed to do it in. And it's not like I don't push anything that I don't actually believe in 1,000,000%, because my name is on that, right? So it's important to say that. I legit cannot stress Be.Live enough, because for me, there are so many lives out there right now. Like, everybody knows that live is a thing that people are doing. Everybody wants to go live. There's people who are trying. You're trying. There's people who are trying just randomly. The problem is that it creates a lot of noise, right? It creates a lot of noise. And Be.Live gives you the tools that you need to actually set yourself apart, so that, like, for example, this live looks different from all the other lives that you're going to see on any screen, just because there's two of us here and you've got this overlay. It's not a lot that you like right now. There's not a lot here that is separating, but it's enough to where someone's like, whoa, what is that? Right? It looks, I want to do that. That is all you need, because the ultimate, it's funny. We think that we're setting up live so that people will watch. That's not really what we're doing. The one thing that you're doing when you set up a live is just to get people to stop the scroll. That's it. If you can get them to stop the scroll, you have already gone half the battle. Like, you're already so far in. So Be.Live has a lot of tools that will let you stop the scroll, like the overlay, like having someone else on. Oh, like Mary's comment that just popped up on the screen, right? Exactly, where they're like, oh, how did this happen? That's one reason that I really love Be.Live. The other reason that I really love Be.Live is because it always used to feel, when I went live, like I had a lot of stuff that I needed to do, but that there was no actual process or system, right? Like, that I was like, okay, go live, schedule this, do that. But just the way that Be.Live is structured, just by the way it's designed, it creates a workflow for you. So you're like, I schedule, okay, if I'm going to schedule, I know that I need this, I need to know the time, I need to know the description, and I need my cover photo. So I'm going to have those three things ready. It puts you on rails, which means you have to think less about the technology. When you think less about technology, you can be more creative and live in your zone of genius. When you have to think about technology, you can't be in your zone of genius. So meanwhile, I'm trying to help you about, learn about pacifiers and how to be great at Facebook Live, but I'm too busy worrying about my technology to actually be focused. So you're like, what is she even talking about? Is she talking to me? Like, she's so busy working with like her camera and whatever it is she's trying to do. This makes it so that you kind of feel like you're a production studio that you can run all by yourself if you need to. That it makes you feel pro, because and it puts you on those rails and it gives you that pro look. So I don't see any reason why anybody would go live without Be.Live. Like if somebody asks me, I'm always like, just go live with Be.Live. And usually if somebody is asking for help about how do I differentiate myself on lives, I'll tell them to just use Be.Live first, because it's the easiest, fastest way of making that difference.
Yeah.
And then it opens up space for you to workshop your actual content. But if you are not comfortable going live, I just want to pull back a little bit and say, if you're not comfortable going live at all, don't overcomplicate things. Just go live, right? Just go live until you're comfortable. And then so like, I don't want you to be like, oh my God, I'm not using Be.Live. I may as well give up. So that's not what I'm saying at all. If you are struggling with even going live, then don't worry about any of this until after you're consistent. I always tell my clients, consistency comes first, then bring on the bells and whistles. First, you just got to actually do the thing.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I should mention, if you are interested in trying Be.Live, you can do it for 14 days for free by going to bit.ly.com/Be.Live Summit. It'll be down below.
Or just I'm impressed though that you remember the URL.
Oh girl, the struggle is real. Or you can just go to the Roxtalks podcast page and you'll see information there. Minessa, parting thoughts. This has been amazing. It's been fantastic. And I could steal your time much longer, but I got to be like respectful of that as well too.
I actually have a call at 11 o'clock. I'll be a little bit late. It's totally fine. My parting thoughts. You know what my parting thoughts are? This is going to sound ridiculous, but listen to everything Roxanne tells you to do because she's really smart. No, so
I love it. Okay, goodbye. It's over. Podcast over.
The end. Well, that is actually for real. That is one of something that is really important. Is it what you are learning in here is critically important. There is a belief system that we all have, that we all grew up with, that tells us what makes you successful. That was built in a completely different world before social media, before live, before any of these things. But the problem is most of us are older, in terms of we've lived long enough to where we have these things ingrained in us. Don't get married to the way you think things are supposed to be. What you're learning in here, what you learn in the social stories group, and what you learn about Facebook Live, that is really where the magic is. You can work half the amount of time that you work right now if you leverage live correctly and let it go of all of the other junk that are essentially the pacifiers of your business. So they make you feel like you're doing something, but they don't actually do anything for your business. So it's really, really key. Live is number one. It's one of those things where it's a no question, no brainer. So if there is something that you're struggling with, start with live, and start with that first video about overcoming your fears, because usually that's the biggest problem that we have. So the first video, where is that first video located, actually, in case somebody wanted it? I have no idea where it is.
Roxtalkspodcast.com. There you go. There you go.
Dude, we have to do more podcasts like this. I feel like we should be on podcasts a lot.
I know. Well, and listen, Clubhouse. So I'm going to invite you ahead of time. We're just doing this. So what I've been doing on Clubhouse, we have a social stories, by the way, club. I'm so excited. Yes, join a club. So first of all, join the club. But what we're doing on Fridays is just kind of doing like a Roxtalks podcast live. So that the podcast comes out on Wednesday, and then on Friday we kind of discuss it, and people can come on and have that discussion. What I'd love to do, Minessa, is have you on. So not this Friday, but the 20th, to join us if you're available at 9:30 Pacific time. If you can,
send me a text. Absolutely, that'd be so fun. Or like not text, like a message. I never look at my text. A PM. Send me a PM on Facebook. I was like, don't send me a text. I'll never see it.
I'd love to have you on, and we can do this conversation. And I love having people come on and just like ask questions and whatnot. So that would be great to have you there.
Fabulous. I'll bring my whole crew. Bring your whole crew, and we'll all hang out. It'll be a party.
I love it. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for this. I so appreciate you and just the insight you've given on live video, and of course, everything else, because we go off the rails. That's what we do. So
thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic. Thank you, Minessa.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that great discussion with Minessa Konecky. I told you there'd be a lot of great goodies in there. I did one more just shout out to you. If you are interested in joining the live video challenge, I say get on it. It is free. There's no reason not to. And if you're afraid of doing live video, we've got you covered. I love to do a behind the scenes segment, and just behind the scenes right now, it is the second week of March. In fact, we're recording this on March 11th. And I have to say that what I'm seeing a lot from a lot of network marketers, the excitement of a lot of new products. So a lot of companies had products coming out or just came out either this week or the weeks prior. So that's been exciting to see you guys grow. My one thing to you about that would be just to remember who you are as a brand, like you personally, brand, and who your target market is, and that will guide all the decisions you make with rolling out and how you promote that new product. So I just want to throw that in there very quickly for you. Other than that, I know this was a long and fantastic podcast, so I'm going to leave you and just remind you that you are not ahead, you're not behind, you're exactly where you need to be. And thank you so much for listening to Roxtalks. We'll see you next week. Golly, we'll see you next week for another episode of Roxtalks. I'm on a roll today. Bye.